Trustee Rogers is absent. Trustee Reinders?
Present.
Trustee Pazmino?
Present.
Trustee Consolino?
Present.
Trustee Fialco?
Present.
Trustee Laha?
Present.
And Mayor Yukich.
Present. Next would be public comment.
Mayor, before you begin public comment, because this is a special meeting, the notice of the special meeting of the village board should be read into the record. If you'd like, I'll do it, or the clerk can do it. It's up to you.
You just want the only name?
No. I'll just read it into the record. This is the notice, a special meeting of the village board being called for June 17th, 2022 at 3 p.m. in the village boardroom, 14240 West 151st Street, Homer, Glen, Illinois. The purpose of the special meeting is for the following: discuss and possible action concerning the continuation of the Village of Homer Glen's Homerfest scheduled on June 23, 2022 through June 26, 2022. This notice was dated June 15th, 2022. It was also posted June 15th, 2022. Members of the board, if I can just ask, Trustee Fialco, you received a copy of the notice?
Yes, sir, I did.
Trustee Reinders, you received a copy of the notice?
Yes, I did.
Trustee Pazmino, you received a copy of the notice?
Yes, sir.
Trustee Consolino, you received a copy of the notice?
Yes, sir.
Mayor, you received a copy of the notice?
Yes.
Madam Clerk?
Via email, yes.
And Trustee Laha, did you receive a copy of the notice?
Via email, yes.
Okay. Does anyone aware of whether Trustee Rogers received a copy of the notice? Okay, let the record show that the trustees that are present, as well as Trustee Laha, who is present remotely, and the mayor and clerk all received copies of the notice of the special meeting, and it should be incorporated into the record for this particular special meeting. Now, Mayor, you can go with public comment.
All right, we'll go to public comment. There's only one on here. Mr. Balich, you're up.
Steve Balich, I'm a resident of Homer Township, or Homer Glen. What I'm here for is I've been getting calls all morning and yesterday, and it turns out that somebody may or may not have signed a liquor license, and it wasn't the mayor's signature according to the mayor, so you have to believe it wasn't his signature. So that means somebody did it, and I'm going to ask you guys if we got to get to the bottom of it, because we can't have somebody in the village signing the mayor's name, period. That's wrong. The other side of it is we can't have nobody know who did it, because I'm looking at the board, and Beth's not here, the same thing. Then there's people here to work for the village. Did you guys forge his name? The answer is no, probably nobody from the village staff, but maybe yes, I don't know. Same with the group up here. There's so many rumors and lies and stuff going around, and people that call me up, they're like, why would somebody forge his name? And I tell them, I have no clue. I don't know anything except for one thing. You gotta find out who did it. So that means your board, it's your responsibility to hire a handwriting analysis expert and anybody that had an opportunity to come in contact with that form. They should sign their name on a paper, and let's get an expert to look at it. And if you need more than one, get two. But I don't want to sit back and say, oh, we'll just sweep it under the table. Don't worry about it. That's the wrong way to do this. We got to know who did it. And if nobody did it, if the mayor made a mistake, then he can just say, hey, I'm sorry, I thought I didn't do it, whatever. But we can't have something hanging over every individual that works in the village and all the elected people that somebody is doing something like that. It's wrong to forge a name. And I don't want to see anybody getting blamed for something like that. There's enough garbage in this town right now with the election that isn't true. We don't need to have all of a sudden rumors coming out that Trustee Consolino signed your name, or the clerk, Clerk Knightsky, she signed it. No, maybe John Robinson signed it. And we can go down the list. It's wrong, so please, vote on this thing today. Demand that you come to a conclusion on this. You just don't let it sit. Because otherwise, somebody will always be accused of doing it when they didn't do it. So please, that's all I got to say.
Okay. Legislation and action items. All right, so we're here to discuss the possible action concerning the continuation of the Village of Homer Glen's Homerfest scheduled for June 23rd, 2022 through June 26, 2022.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Who's seconding it?
That would be me, sir.
Thank you.
All right, as far as discussion, we're ready to roll with discussion, correct? At this point? The reason why we're here is...
No,
I'm sorry.
I'm the one that's...
I'm sorry.
I'm going to do this right now.
I thought, wait. We make the motion, right? First and second, it goes to discussion. Usually it's not, doesn't go to discussion to the mayor first, but I'm just pointing that out. If you want to go first, sir, that's...
No, go ahead. I want to make sure everything's right.
Go ahead. You're the mayor.
What happened with this meeting is last Monday or Tuesday, I was going through some of the papers, making sure that everything was signed, everything was I's dotted, and started talking to Sue Stylen. And at that point, when we were discussing some things, she said everything was set and everything was signed. So I asked, signed what? And she told me all the papers and the liquor license. And I told her at that time, I did not sign anything. She says, yes, you did. So I went back and I looked, and it's not my signature. So what this stems about is one of the trustees that's working with festival came to me and asked me about some questions. And I had told him when he came to me about when he came to me about moving where it was going to be, setting back the fence line, because he said in papers that he had read they didn't have to do anything because we had a fence around it. And he said for the liquor license it didn't have to be signed, and that could be confusing because they also said that about the gaming license, which I did sign the gaming license. Well, I signed the liquor license so they could get the gaming. Christine signed the gaming license.
For clarification, the gaming license was not for the fest. It's a different business. I just want to be clear, since my name was mentioned.
That's fine. So later on, we had gotten a phone call from the liquor commissioner, and he said that we should have the fence up closer. We shouldn't let the people go throughout the entire golf course. And after that, we basically went back to our original plan on how the festival ran. It was changed over the years. They did make things better, but when they did do it, they changed things that I don't believe should have been changed, and we do have an ordinance that says that certain things have to be done. And after the liquor commissioner had called us and said that we needed to get this thing further up, and the fences had to be up closer because they were going to try to put them by the carnival. They weren't quite sure. So then the police got involved because I asked them, what do they think of it? And they go, there's 4 of us, George. There's 4 of us for the whole festival, for the police-wise. Fire department, when they were in the meetings for this, they had asked the fire department about what they should and what they shouldn't do. Fire department told them what they think they should do, what we had done before. And they pretty much, well, the trustee decided that he wasn't going to listen that way. Same thing with the sheriff's department. He said it wasn't enough people. And the state of Illinois Department of Liquor Control said they had to be closer, and there was supposed to be no open alcohol. Now, that was from a couple years ago, and unfortunately, one of the businessmen in his village decided to help out and make some drinks. But at that point, last I had heard, was they weren't supposed to be able to do that because there's no way to tell what's in it, who did it, it's not capped, who's paying for it, who's collecting for it. So that's pretty much my issues on this thing. As for the signature, that's a whole other thing. And that's not what this is about today.
Okay, I'm confused. Can I ask for clarification before anybody else speaks? Village Manager Carmen Morella and Attorney Carrie Horvath, could you please explain what today's purpose of the meeting was? Because what the mayor just stated does not seem to be what I was informed of.
So at the time of at the time of us issuing the special meeting, there was discussion about the potential liquor license for the fest. The mayor had made accusations that his signature wasn't on the original application. Moving forward and indicating with the sheriff's department and filing a police report, we had talked to the Liquor Control Commission and asked if we could reissue a new application for a new liquor license. The only additional statement on that was that we add a cover letterhead with his name on it and just a note of when the fest was going to happen. In doing so, Mayor George had pursued signing all the documents. Then Dan Fialco and I got together and signed the documents also and then submitted, and we do have a liquor license for the fest. So this discussion was in order to facilitate getting this license taken care of. At the time and the moment, Sue Stylen and myself were in a meeting with George, Christina I believe was there, Dan was there, and there was contentions on whether we should move forward with the license or not, and that's what this meeting is.
Okay, that was what my understanding is. Mayor, that's not what you think that this meeting is about?
No, I had already approved the license for the...
Okay, so, no, and I don't mean to overspeak you. It's just, it's clarification because, yes, we have a liquor license that was signed, again, yesterday, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so...
About 5 o'clock.
Okay, so there is a liquor license.
Correct.
And no, we found out from the state that the fence is not an issue, correct?
I'd like to get to that part eventually, because
Okay.
I would like to speak.
I'll let-
And then Carmen Morella has spoken with the state of Illinois. And in this process, I was never included in any of the conversation with the mayor. But I would like to start off by saying the committee, the FEST committee, runs all year long. And we have our meetings once a month. Sometimes when we get closer to the event, we have several meetings during that month, which is taking place right now. Now, this is actually the third, there were 4 years that there was the fest actually in Homer, Glen. One of those years it was canceled. And there was a group of people that had been around working with the township before and with the village. And they got used to doing things a certain way, by doing them repetitively, I guess. But here's what I had to go to as the chair for the fest. I have to look into the liquor license to see what the limitations are, and I did that. And under 8366J special events, there's number 1. And in number 1 to the bottom, it says, no license shall be required for any event conducted by or under the auspice, the title of, the village. Such sales are limited to the public in general at picnic, carnival, or similar function. Then there is the other way that it had been done in the past, and they had pulled a liquor license every year on themselves for some reason. So the question came up, why do we have to give ourselves a liquor license for an event that we're holding when J1, the last sentence, says we don't have to? Under 3, though, it says the retail sale and consumption of alcoholic liquor authorized by the license issued pursuant to the subsection shall be limited to the premises specified in the license. That meaning if you have somebody, like if the township had to pull a license, then it falls into this category. Which premises shall be entirely enclosed in a tent, a fenced-in area, or entirely enclosed by a double fence with at least 4 feet separating each fence row, demarcating the licensed premises. So when we move forward, I asked for Sue to prepare the liquor license, and there's a certain time of the year she does it every year. And so when she had that put together, I wanted to go under the J-class special events, which says we as the village don't have to pull a license for ourselves. So we went down that path. One day Sue called me in and said there are documents ready to be signed. I believe she had arrows placed in 3 different places for me to sign. And when I signed in those 3 places, at her desk, George's signature was on, what appeared to be George's signature, in blue, was on that document. So after that, I kind of kept up with Sue. Where's it at? Where are we at with the liquor license? And she said at one time it was in John Sawyer's possession. They had to write a check. Now, I know there's a folder that she uses, and it gets passed around and put in a mailbox for people to put their signatures on things where they're required. After that point, I did ask, and Sue said that she had sent it. I thought she had said that John Sawyer sent it in electronically, but then I was also told that it was mailed in by certified mail. Now, when Sue puts these things through a process, and it's her own process, do we have a protocol or a procedure drawn up for getting signatures put on any documents that we know?
So as the moment, the mayor does have to sign quite a bit of checks, so we have a red folder that is put together for to sign.
Do we have a protocol written on paper as to the process?
We do not.
Okay, so we don't. So Sue took and she mailed this thing out. But my thing is, for somebody, Sue sees his signature all the time, right? There's a lot of people that see the mayor's signature all the time. I don't see it all the time. There's very few things I get that has his signature on it. So with that said, I would think that if Sue thought there was a problem with the signature at that time, she would have identified it and she would have questioned it at that time. I'm guessing because of her experience, and she did not see anything wrong. That is why she mailed it into the state. Now, everything came back on June 1st. We received the liquor license. I shared that with Carmen Morella.
Excuse me, Trustee Falco, just really quick, can we all specify on the dais when we're speaking of the state liquor license versus the local liquor license, just so the people
Right, we
that are
haven't got the
listening?
local yet.
I know, but
All state.
just for the future, just clarifying.
This is the application for the state license. So at this point, we received that. Carmen Morella, the village manager, gave that to the people who needed it. I believe we also shared that with Lakeshore, who are the people
Correct.
who are providing the alcohol for the fest.
Yep.
That's one of their requirements. So then after that, we received just on Wednesday night, I was notified that the mayor was making the allegation that that was not his signature and that somebody else put his signature on the paper possibly. Now, I asked who he thought that might be, and I believe Sue Stalin's name was mentioned and my name was mentioned, but that was through a third party. So I'm not sure exactly what was said there, but I immediately said that it's time to have a meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. And when that meeting took place, it was the mayor, myself, Carmen Morella, and also Sue Stalin. In that conversation, as it progressed, we thought council would be important to be put into the picture. So when that was said, though, the mayor said, "I want Eric." And so the village manager attempted to call Eric with no luck. So once he didn't have any luck with him. He continued on and called Attorney Horvath. When Attorney Horvath was connected, we all talked, and at that point, I thought it was important that the Will County Sheriff also be involved, because to me, this is a felony to forge somebody's name, and I want to get to the bottom of it. And so that is the route that we took. We brought Will County Sheriffs in. They interviewed each one of us. And at any point, Council, can I continue with the conversation about the rest of everything while it's under investigation?
Well, you've initiated the conversation, so you might as well go forward. You said that, when was the meeting? Wednesday was when you had this meeting?
No, I found out on Wednesday about 5 o'clock.
No, the meeting, when I was called, was Wednesday morning. So this meeting had to have occurred Wednesday.
Okay, that's right. Yesterday we put up the tent. So I was notified Tuesday evening at 5 o'clock. We had the meeting on Wednesday at 10 o'clock.
You may as well continue. I don't know what...
So we were each interviewed by the Will County Sheriff's Office. And one of the things I had asked for is his blue pen to be taken into possession as evidence for possible chemical analysis as to, because it appears as though he always signs with this blue pen. So I asked for that to be taken into evidence. They said at that time they were not going to do that. I don't know if it happened eventually, but it was said that they were not going to do that at the time. I thought having evidence, whether it could be used or not, unknown at this time, they could do a chemical analysis on the ink and the signature on the paper, because the state holds the original documents. The state was then called to hold those documents in their possession because this is going to be under investigation. And we also asked for the state to call an investigation at this time also. So it's under investigation with Will County, and it's under investigation with the state. The document is being held. In the meantime, that was yesterday. Was that on Wednesday where we were all in the office in Stu Stalin's office, and George and Christina were in there?
Correct, it was Wednesday.
In the meantime, what we realized is by George saying that that's not his signature on the document, we also said, well, we don't have a liquor license now. We don't have a permit to have Homerfest. And so the thing was, George says, well, I'll take care of that. And he started putting a liquor license together after I had told him about J1, and he knows of J3. J1 doesn't require the village to get a liquor license. J3, when you get a liquor license from yourself, then requires the encompassing of offense. And on Facebook, just a couple days before all this took place, there were people on Facebook, and an ex-trustee that used to sit right across the way there, that was on Facebook talking about how bad it's going to be without the fence. How are the sheriffs going to do this and that? Well, I talked to the sheriff, and the sheriff talked to Dan Mulk, I believe it was, from Lamont. He also talked to a few other people, and how they operate is they just put signs up, no alcohol past this point. Now, when the mayor just said he talked to the state, I'm not sure who he talked to the state, but Carmen, when you called the state and asked them, when you pull a liquor license for a special event, what the boundaries are to the liquor license?
Yes, and then talking with the state liquor control commissioner, they advised me to speak to legal. In discussion with legal, the boundaries are what's stated on the special use liquor license, which is the address of this village.
And you told them this was how many acres?
At the time I said 55, but actually it's 104.
And they said, your boundaries are what of those acres for alcohol?
The entire property.
Okay, in the entire property. Did they say at any time that a fence was required within those boundaries?
No.
They did state, though, you could tighten it up if you wish to with signage or however you want to do it, but the fence was not required.
Fence was not required, but I did mention that we would be adding soft boundaries, and legal had said that would be very advisable.
So in this process, when we were in that office, George started putting another liquor license together, and he says, I'm doing it the way we did it for the last 19 years. I don't know what 19 years that was, but he said 19 years. And that is, he decided to switch it to the liquor license that you, from the village to pull a liquor license on ourselves, which then made it a requirement to put up the fencing. So he changed his mind. If it was all about the signature, why did it go from the signature? Why wouldn't we fill out the same exact paperwork that we had before? He was switching it to the liquor license itself that required the fencing then. So at that time, I thought, well, okay, that's what he's going to do, and if that's what he's got to do to get another liquor license, I don't want to, because I don't want to waste the money that's been spent on the fence. If that's the route he's going to go, that's the route he's going to go. In the meantime, I had this conversation with somebody else that's involved in law, and the next day at 2 o'clock, which was yesterday, I was notified that he filled out the paperwork all of a sudden back the old way, which doesn't really require the fence. So there was this flip-flop going back and forth as to how it was going to be done. But I think the proof is in the pudding here, and the truth will come out. And this going back and forth and making this allegation for some people that are in the background and trying to do it this way, I say shame on you.
Okay.
And so, you know what? At this point, that is where we're at. We received, based on what was done, the way that we had it originally, it was redone and resubmitted. Carmen Morella was the one that put all his effort and time behind it to make that get put through, and so we can have our fest by this next Thursday starting. And thank you for that, Carmen. I know that was a lot of hard work to follow up on this. We do have a liquor license now. The fest will go on, but I was driving around today, and for some reason the signs are all taken down for Homerfest. I don't know what that's about yet, but anyway, that's out there. Carmen, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I'd like to,
No, I want to finish up with my conversation.
No, Dan, I'm good. I'm good, Dan, thanks.
All right.
so are you done now?
I am.
Okay. First off, it's in our ordinance, and that's what we have used for 21 years. Second, the J-class section is just for our own protection. Like I said before, the police wanted more police. You turned them down.
That's a lie.
Well, they only
You want
have...
to get Jeff Taylor in
Well,
right
I
now.
didn't interrupt you once, so could you please just be quiet and let me talk?
Go ahead.
We have 4 policemen that are going to be out there. 4. Out of that 4, we have 104 acres. Out of the 104 acres, we probably could have, let's say, 1,500 people drinking. We have 2 policemen inside the tent and 1 over by the carnival. So how are we supposed to protect all of our residents? Because that's where my concern is. How are we supposed to do it for the vendors? How are we supposed to do it right? When we did this for the years that we did, I was in it for 6 years. After that, when I became mayor, they said, no, we'll get this handled, which was great. So I don't try to fix something that's not broken. This isn't broken. You keep adding on things, and you keep changing it. So when that came up, and you were saying that I changed the license. I didn't change the license. I told Sue just to write up what we had and what we did for the 21 years and put that in. I also told you, after you telling me maybe 15 times, we're not going to have alcohol, we're not going to have alcohol, you have to cancel it. And I kept telling you, you're going to have alcohol. I'll get this thing done. So, and this had nothing really to do with someone trying to sign my name. This is all about, and I don't even know why we went on this, because if you read this, discuss a possible action concerning the continuation of the Village of Homer Glen's Fall Festival on May 23rd through the 26th. Well, you already know that you've got that done, so I really don't know why we're here.
Carmen, on that day, did the clerk walk in with a new liquor license that would fall under J3 or not?
There was an application filled out for our village, yeah, and was notarized and
It
signed.
wasn't the same paperwork at that time that was originally under J1.
It was not, no.
That's right. And then on yesterday at 2 o'clock, it changed back to the other paper, correct?
what I have in front of me that we submitted to the state is what is exactly what we did on our original application. Only difference is the signatures.
And we
And
took
date.
in, with the fest, there are auxiliary police officers that are going to be there. It's not just 4 police officers. Matter of fact, we're providing 2 golf carts for the Will County Sheriff.
Okay,
So-
you take 4 of...
So I haven't tried to change it. I think I'm talking right now. I haven't tried to change anything. I've worked with our committee. I'm going by, I told you, sir, I said, you show me somewhere something I did wrong under the village code or the state law, and you did not tell me one thing. And in this whole process, sir, you did not come to me one time. Everything was done behind closed doors. I did not get one call from you. I did not get one question from you until you made the accusation. That wasn't your signature somehow. And so that is how we ended up where we're at today. Because I believe you were trying to make certain people happy.
No.
And it was a mistake, and shame on you again for doing it that way. You should have came to me. And it is not required. I was just at Canal Days. I've been to Downers Grove. I've been to Hinsdale. I've been to Rosemont. Nobody uses fences like you say that we should all of a sudden have for no reason. And if you did it for 19 years, you didn't read the village code. You were a trustee for 6 years and a mayor for 8, and you still don't know the village code. And that amazes me. And because it's not required, and I told you it's been being done incorrectly, you told me it's your group that's trying to wreck this village. You told me that directly. You are trying to wreck this village, you and your group. And I said, what group? I'm a trustee, I'm by myself. I am separate from the group. And you threw that out there and accused our group of trying to wreck the village, which is shameful that you would even say that.
I didn't say that.
So, you can tell all your lies every place you want to go. The proof is in the pudding, and it'll come out because it is being investigated on both sides. And we'll get to the bottom of
Yes, it
it.
is.
Sometimes the truth takes a little while, but it always rears and tells us the truth. And I can't wait for that day. So in the meantime, we do have a liquor license. I don't know, I'm kind of done. Anybody else have anything you want to add?
That's up to me. Let me
No, it's
finish
not.
up.
There's discussion, it's open discussion.
Carmen, what did I tell you yesterday about the way it was going for the permit? What did it have to have? I told,
You wanted fencing.
I wanted fencing.
You stated that, yes.
And that's what this is all about in the first place, and that's why we're talking about this. It doesn't have to do with anything with the
Exactly.
bogus.
It has everything to do with fencing, you're right.
So,
Your fencing.
I thought that this majority, from what I was told and from what I'm reading here, this isn't about fencing. This is about forgery.
no, this is,
Oh, and I take forgery very seriously.
read the.
You know what? No, listen, I wrote this, I tried to be objective, and I can't be anymore. I want it stated for the record that while I'm sitting here on this dais, that I feel that the mayor and others from inside this village have been actively campaigning to sabotage members of this board. Today just proves it.
Absolutely not.
It hurts every single resident in this community. It doesn't hurt the board members. I think it's appalling. I also think that this whole circus with the fencing and the fence is just more politicking. And I just said it in last week's meeting. I'm going to call it every time I see it, and I am here again today. The mayor has self-admitted to not abiding to village ordinances several times while I've been sitting on this board in the past year. Everybody remember that? I do. And as it's been explained by Trustee Fialco and the village manager, the license that we obtained does not require fencing by state law. That would be the J1. Now, when it comes to this stuff with the forgery, which I take very seriously, and I'm pretty sure everybody that I'm sitting here with today on this board does. Apparently Trustee Rogers doesn't, because she likes politicking. I want to know what is the proper protocol, because we're going to remedy this, and we're going to do it today. If we have to sit here on a Friday afternoon and give up our time, we're going to figure out what does the process need to be, because apparently we don't have a policy, and you know I love making policies. What is the protocol for this stuff getting signed off on? It went to Sue Stylen. Is Sue here? Sue, do you feel comfortable speaking, or would you rather do it behind closed doors? Thank you. Because I want to know how it got to this point, and I'm sorry to have to call you up in front of everybody to do this.
I don't know what you mean by how it got to this point.
So what is our commonplace procedure
For which?
for getting this license signed every year? That's all I want to know from you.
Okay.
And what you do remember of where it going and how it got back.
Well, usually I just put the papers in a folder for George to sign.
Okay,
Then
and
it comes back.
that's the protocol, and that's what occurred in this place. Okay. And then you're comfortable if we shore up this and make a clear-cut policy to see how hands change with everything in the future?
Yeah, I'll follow whatever policy you come up with.
Okay, thank you, Sue. I also want to state that I am in full support of a proper investigation, which I heard wasn't too too well received, but there's going to be an investigation on this, because clearly, and I'm not an expert on this stuff, but if somebody did forge it, I want to find out if it's a forgery, and I also want to find out who did it. So, or if it's a fake accusation, because anything goes apparently on this board. So either way, I want somebody prosecuted for this. And I'm looking forward to it, because I have my own personal feelings. But as long as we create a policy that identifies the process and how we're going to handle getting signatures from here on out, the moral of the story is we have a license that's signed by the mayor. Doesn't require the fence, correct?
No, it does not.
And we're good to go for the fest.
Yes, we
So,
are.
and that's what I want our public to know. Thank you. Next.
All right, now, you talk about politicking. I'm not a politician. You're the politician. You're the ones that makes all kinds of innuendos and everything. But here, last week was a perfect timing. When you got on there, and we were talking about Jay, and Dan changed number 1 to 2 to bring Jay first, which put Brian behind it. And all that motion for was if I would have approved him at that point, and that's when he kept
This is
asking me.
beyond, Mayor.
Wait a second, if they've changed this all around,
Mayor, point of order.
Thank you.
I just want
I'll
to point
second
out
that.
one thing, okay? The special meeting was called to discuss and have possible action concerning the continuation of the fest. So if you're going to go off into other tangent areas, my suggestion would be that you do that either at a regular meeting when you can bring up for discussion anything you care to discuss.
absolutely fine, but why didn't you stop her then?
Well, please, or just call a special meeting to discuss other items. But I don't want this board to be placed in a position where it's discussing things far afield and possibly inadvertently going beyond what the Open Meetings Act would allow. So that, I'm just pointing that out.
Kerry,
I can't tell you to not talk. I'm just telling you that that's my advice at this point, is to stay as close as you can
I
to
did.
the item on the agenda, because that's really the limits of what you should be talking about.
With that said, can I motion just to approve this so that the fest can go on and we can go on with our business?
You have a motion and a second on the floor. I believe it is to, maybe you want to just say to approve going forward with the fest. I think that would be your appropriate motion at this point in time.
I don't.
Well, I have a motion on the floor.
Amend it. I'd almost like to amend it to make it work, because there's still this thing about the fence. He's saying fence, no fence. Can we make the motion that we will strictly go by J1, the way it was resubmitted, and...
Why don't you just make a motion to just approve to going forward with the fest? And I think that will cover it. You have your liquor license. Your liquor license does not have a condition for a fence. The mayor has not imposed a condition for a fence. So I believe if you just say you're going to go forward with the fence, or with the fest as scheduled, you're in good shape, all right?
And I'd like to, in closing, as far as the process for signatures on paper, I never had any of that paperwork in my possession at any time. When my signature was put to those documents in front of Sue Stalin, it was at her desk for the short period of time that it was, for the 2 or 3 signatures she asked me to put on there with my social security number. Other than that, those documents were never in my possession except for the time of the signature. So thank you.
Well, that's wrong.
Okay, do you want to make a motion? Go ahead, trustee.
Well, excuse me.
Wait.
Fialco has the motion, just for clarification. Fialco has the motion, Pazmino has the second, just for clarification.
So can we motion for the vote?
Yes, go right ahead.
This is a joke.
Make the
Because
Robert's Rules of Order.
Mayor,
Robert's rules,
Mayor,
you don't
please,
make
this
any-
is not a joke.
it is a joke.
Mayor, you made an accusation about a criminal act being committed. The board called this
We're not
meeting,
even
the
talking
board
about
called
that,
this
Kerry.
meeting to determine whether the fest was going to go forward or not. When they called the meeting, this board did not have a new license issued by the state of Illinois. So they called the meeting with that purpose. The meeting you've had discussion. They have allowed you to participate in the discussion, which they do not have to do. So at this
Then
point
why
in time...
am I here?
At this point in time,
Why did they
Mayor-
ask me to
Mayor,
cancel it
at
last
this point
night?
I'm not going to talk over you.
You
At
shouldn't
this-
be talking right now anyhow.
At this point, I am the advisor to this board.
And what's the board?
Point of
Because you work
order.
for the township and for here. So which one are you here for?
Mayor, I am the legislative counsel, and I am advising this board. At this point in time, the board, unless you have additional discussion about the item on the agenda, the board may and should act to say that a motion that the fest will go forward as scheduled. You do a second, you do a roll call vote, and then you would make a motion to adjourn the meeting. That is the appropriate protocol to follow in this, or procedure to follow at this point in time.
Well, Dan had the paperwork when we were in Christine's office. Because that's when I said I'm not signing a liquor license. Am I wrong?
You're wrong.
I believe we're in the middle of a vote, so does that not count, or?
You know what, you guys you have a way of just wheeling and dealing
Point of
between
order.
everyone.
Could we please
It's like
call
you
the vote?
all have this all set up.
Forward with the vote.
Trustee,
I have to say, I'm sorry, this is so sad to me. This seems like a personal attack, and this directly affects our residents, and that's just wrong. I think it's time we start thinking about our residents and putting them first. This is all so unfortunate. This meeting itself is sad that we even have to be here talking about signatures. And I agree, this is a serious allegation that needs to be addressed. Otherwise, this just seems like an attempt of sabotage, and that's just really disheartening.
Make a motion and vote.
I believe we already have the motion, so.
Well, the motion that was made was to discuss the possible action, but I believe trustee Fialco, you made the motion and you would like to change it to approve to move forward?
I dropped that motion. The motion to amend. I did make the original motion.
Right, but you're-
It was seconded by Pazmino, trustee Pazmino. But then I was thinking to make an amendment. I'm not amending anything.
J1. And that's what you stopped.
Trustee
That's why you
Pazmino?
should have let him go.
Proceed
Do
with
you wish to make a motion?
and now we're approving
Fest
politics
will go
again.
forward
All for
That's what I was going to say. Thank you,
as
Carrie.
scheduled, so that this matter can be put to rest once and for all.
Okay, so he would not have to rescind his
He
motion?
doesn't have to rescind his
Go forward.
motion, he's withdrawing.
Okay, so I make a motion for the festival to go on as scheduled for this coming weekend.
So moved.
Second.
Wait,
And I didn't fight.
hold
the
on.
ball.
You can't so move if trustee Pazmino made the motion. So you guys made three, so you're making the motion, you're seconding.
Second.
Right? Okay. Okay. Trustee Pazmino.
Aye.
Trustee Laha. Trustee Fialco.
Aye.
Trustee Consolino.
Aye.
And trustee Reinders.
Aye.
Motion carries. I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.